authorized text.
Ni havas Antje Neuhoff, kiu estas la respondeculino de la virtualaj lingvokafejoj kaj teknika komunikado, komunikado per teknikiloj, ĉe la Teknika Universitato de Dresdeno en Germanio. Do ŝi parolos al ni pri virtualaj lingvokafejoj. Kaj ŝi havas ĝin en Esperanto, bonege. Se ŝi parolos en la angla, mi supozas. Saluton, Antje.
Can I start? Good afternoon. Thank you, Alessandra, and greetings to China. I, of course, need to talk in English, so this is just the first slide. I try to. Here, I think I need to. Yes. I know it's late, and so I try to be brief, and I will also skip a bit of the points of the topics. As you can see, it's quite a few, and if I would have time, I would go over all of them, but I definitely will cut some of my points. And I give you time, Alessandra, yes, so you can translate after. Each slide.
But please, just si parolos iom pli mallonge, ĉar estas malmulte da tempo.
Okay, I'm from the University of Technology in Dresden, in Germany. It's quite a big university for Germany, around 28,000 students. And in the language center, we have each semester around 5,000 students in 296 courses, language courses from all levels. And the main languages are German and English, and they are all free of charge.
La Universitato de Dresdeno estas granda la Universitato Teknika Universitato de Dresdeno estas granda universitato con preskaŭ 5,000 studentoj kaj 296 lingvaj kursoj, kiu estas malfermitaj al ĉiuj studentoj senpage.
My domain, my area is the Multimedia Language Center. It's an old-fashioned name. Another one would be Self-Access Center, also not really very suitable anymore. We haven't found a better one, but at least it's a center or a sub-center, sub-unit of the language center with a library, with quite a few computer labs, still traditional computer labs, but also rooms where you can have flexible usage scenarios, computers, notebooks, etc. But also, of course, rooms for small groups and small teaching units.
Do vi vidas tiun memalirebla plurkomunikila lingvocentro, en kiu estas malgranda biblioteko kaj estas ĉambretojn por malgrandaj grupoj kaj estas komputiloj.
Where do we come from? We used to be a very a language center like many others everywhere in the world, I think, with a language lab in the 90s and 0 years, with a huge lab for practicing listening comprehension. We had a lot of call softwares with the big computers, and we had TV rooms, and students really came for listening to or watching TV, foreign language TV, and watching foreign language films on VHS videos. It was very popular, and we had lots of students coming for this to the language center.
Do en la jaroj 90 kaj 2000 vi havis la malnovan manieron lerni lingvojn, do vi vidas ke homoj mem prenis ekzemple videokasetoj por povi spekti filmojn kaj klopodi havi.
So, but of course nowadays nobody would come for tech. So sorry.
Nuntempe la aferoj tute ŝanĝis. Tio estas en la jaroj 90 2000. Yes, now it's totally different, of course.
Okay, no, exactly. Nobody
Yes.
would come for some technology to the language center. So now what? We had to rethink the purpose of such center, and had to focus on our strengths, what we do best. And what we do best is to provide authentic language contact between real people. So we reorganized the furniture, for example. We created comfortable, cozy corners for talking, for speaking, for meeting. We purchased flexible furniture to quickly rearrange scenarios. And of course, we still have the technology, for example, for hybrid teaching or online teaching. But the main thing is the authentic language contact.
So you see that dove vidas che nun tempe neniu venas por preniti un materialo por spekti, sed la grava afero estas havi homojn interagi, che do oni ŝanĝis tute la formon de tiu lingvocentro, kaj oni donis eĉ en la mebloj, la formo kaj la koloro kaj la lokigo de la mebloj tute ŝanĝiĝis por plifortigi tiun personan interagon.
And we concentrate or really organized the formats and opportunities for people to meet. As you can see on the pictures, maybe this is still an illustration of the previous slide. Yeah, it's about people, it's about speaking, it's about bringing together people of different languages so they can speak and practice their foreign language skills. Interpersonal interaction.
Do oni interparoligas homojn de diversajn lingvojn, do tie ke ili povas kunpartigi siajn lingvojn kaj spertojn kotopo.
Here are just a few examples of these formats. For example, we have a language tandem where we match two people with different target languages. We have readings, foreign language readings. We have foreign language events. Very popular is the on-site language cafe. That this happens every week during the semester. There's always German and there's always 2 or 3 languages more. And that's very popular and people come to these language cafes.
Do, vi vidas tiu sprachtandem, tio signifas oni electas kiel biciklo kun du homoj supre, ĉu ne? Oni electas kunmeti parolantoj de du malsamajn lingvojn, kaj estas ankaŭ grupojn, kaj ankaŭ tre populara estas tiu parola kafejo, kiu venas ĉiam multe da homoj.
And for a few years now, we also said that virtual language cafes might be a good idea. The first thing always, of course, is the real thing, so people meeting physically together, but of course it's not always possible. And to provide more contact with real people, we thought it would be a good idea to introduce virtual language cafes. And I'd like to very briefly talk about 2 examples of such virtual language cafes which we held during the last academic year.
Bedaŭrinde, do tiu lingvokafejo renkontiĝas ĉiu semajno, sed ne ĉiam eblas organizi personajn ĉeestajn kafejojn, do oni pensis pri virtuala lingvokafejo, kaj tio estis sukcesa.
So there were 2 examples. One was the exchange between the Open University in UK and TU Dresden, and the other with 2 Czech universities in TU Dresden. We always used Zoom. We had 8 events for the German-English exchange, for the German-Czech event, and it was about exchanging ideas to provide the atmosphere for freely practice oral language skills, free speech, hold conversation in small groups, plenary sessions, moderated by teachers. That's a very important point.
Du ekzemploj de tiu lingvokafejo estis kun interŝanĝo kun inter studentoj de Dresdeno kai studentoj de Open University Malferma Universitato de Londono en Britio. Kai alia estis interŝanĝo kun Universitato de Ĉeĥio, Usti University. Kai ĉiam estis tre multe fokuso pri libera parolado, sed ĉiam estas ankaŭ la moderado de fare de instruisto.
This is an example of typical tasking activities. So in the English-German exchange, we always had 2 icebreaker activities followed by 2 longer discussions, one in German, one in English. The icebreaker activities usually in the plenary. Example, questions you have here. Alessandra, you decide whether you want to translate it or just read.
Yes, do tio estas ekzemplo de, kiel diri, la glacirrompaj agadoj, parolante pri ekzemple migrado, se kaj ke ili devis moviĝi al alia lando kotopo, aŭ parolo pri du lokoj, la loko kie vi naskiĝis kaj alia loko. Do tio estas tio maniero.
So these were just to open the atmosphere and to give people opportunity to say a few sentences. And it was followed by, as I said, longer discussions. And here are the topics of the longer discussions. They were quite well chosen, I think, because they gave really room and opportunities for longer and deeper talks.
Tiuj ĉi estas pli longaj diskutadoj. Do, vi povas legi, ĉu ne? Historio, mi kaj mia regiono, migrado, arto, ekonomio kaj daŭripovo.
Okay. And we could see, of course, that the events worked quite well. People came, they liked it, they were talking. So that seemed to work. But I conducted a survey in the end to find out a bit more about the areas which I was interested in. As you can see, the key dimensions of the survey on the bottom. It was because I wanted to know more what really worked, or what worked in particular, and why, and in what direction we should go in the future with the virtual language cafés.
Do la esperto iris tre bone, sed Antje volis scii pli, do ŝi faris iom esploradon pri tio.
The sample size was 24. It's not a big number, but of course the participation always was between 10 and 15 people. With this group size, it works best. And the return rate was quite high. So that's why I think we can use this as real results, especially because it was accompanied by comments, and the comments were most interesting, of course, or very interesting too, because they show the focus of people. And in terms of motivations, maybe very briefly, people mainly came because they wanted to gain speaking practice with native speakers of their target language, and because they wanted to reduce possible speaking anxieties.
Do, tiu ci esplorado ne havis multe da homoj, sed ĝi estas sufiĉe valora, ĉankaŭ ĉar estis komentoj aldonaj, kaj oni vidas ke multe da homoj venis ĉar ili volis praktiki sian fremdan lingvon kun denaska parolanto, sed ankaŭ ĉar ili volis havi malpli da timo tion fari.
I will now skip most results and only show you as very brief example, maybe this slide on participation and social atmosphere. So we gave items and asked them whether they would strongly agree, or not agree, disagree with these statements. And for example, for these items about participation, most people strongly agreed to those items, like I would recommend the cafe to others, I would participate again. Other participants responded supportively. It was easy to join in the conversations, and I had enough opportunities. So to these items, people mostly were positive and agreed.
Mm-hmm. Vi vidas che la rezultoj estis tre bonaj rilate al socia medio, che oni rekomendos tiun kafejo al aliaj homoj, volos denove partopreni, kaj estis facile partopreni, kaj estis multe da spertoj praktiki kun aliaj homoj.
I skip moderations quite a lot, and maybe too in terms of speaking anxiety. Not so many strongly agreed, but still the majority agreed to the statements that they would be more likely now to speak in the foreign language than before, that the informal atmosphere made it easier for them to speak, and that before the cafe they felt inhibited about speaking in the foreign language. So I hope now these after the cafes they don't feel so inhibited again.
Kaj ankaŭ pri timemo, vi vidas ke estas multege da homoj kiu diris ke tio helpegis, se multege da homoj diris ke tio helpis. Do jam tio estas tre grava tingo.
These were just two of the domains as an example. I skip language progress. Some comments here. Many praise the atmosphere as informal and friendly. Engagement, feeling of engagement was mentioned. Choice of topic was interesting, friendly and pleasant atmosphere. So that was really the main point for us, to create an informal, relaxing atmosphere, friendly, welcoming. So that seems to be what they noticed mostly, and that's, of course, we want to keep in the future.
Vi vidas ke estis multe da komentoj, kial ĝi estis tre utila, kaj kial ili vere ŝatis tiun ĉi lingvokafejoj, kaj ŝatos partopreni denove. Do estas multe da pozitivaj komentoj pri tio.
So the conclusion is that definitely we will keep and probably or hopefully increase such opportunities for informal learning, language learning, to enable speaking practice, fostering exchange, and bringing together people from different target language communities. And we think that language cafes, either on-site or on virtual or social learning spaces that promote language development, intercultural exchange, community building. So we will continue. If you are interested in more results, feel free to contact me, and I can say more about it. Also I skipped completely the results on the survey of on-site cafes, so I have a lot on this as well.
Fakte pro manko da tempo Antje ne parolis pri komparo inter virtualaj kafejoj kaj ĉeestaj kafejoj, se ŝi havas ankaŭ tio, se io estas interesata bonvolu kontakti ŝin, vi povas peti adreson, kaj tiu ĉi sperto de virtualaj lingvokafejoj estis tre pozitiva, ĉar ĝi donis kontaktoportunoj kaj praktikoportunoj, kaj ankaŭ ĝi kunigis homoj el diversaj lingvokomunumoj, do certe ili volas daŭrigi per tio kaj daŭrigos tiun sperton en la estonto. Dankon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. Do mi proponas aplaŭdo. Kaj ĉu estas demandoj por Antje? Ĉu estas demandoj?
I think you all need a break.
Yeah, actually we have a break now, so yeah, maybe for this. I was just one short question and then we run for the break, sorry, because I'm just wondering how did you have the idea of changing the disposition of the furniture in that way and so colorful? I mean, it was already a practice that you copied, or somebody came up with the idea?
Of course, we saw example in other language centers, and I always like to visit others and see what they do. Yeah, some inspiration really came from a colleague from Hannover, but it's a trend, you know, it's a trend. Felix Kronenberg, he's a professor in the United States. He worked a lot on learning spaces, especially for language centers, and there was a lot of inspiration also from him. And yeah, all these ideas, create free spaces, flexible, etc. Lots of inspirations, and yeah, and we had to search a lot for good furniture.
What is the name again of this?
Felix Kronberg, I write it in the chat for you.
Oh yes,
Felix,
yes. Yes. Do mi demandis ĉu ŝi havis la ideo mem fari mem pensi pri kiel interŝanĝi la meblojn kotopo, kaj ŝi diris ŝi vizitis aliajn lingvokafejoj kaj estis tiu Felix Kronenberg, kiu estas usona esploristo, kiu verkis pri tio, pri lingvaj kafejoj, kiel tio vere pri mebloj vere helpas flekseblecon kotopo. Ĉu estas aliaj demandoj? Se ne, ni faras paŭzon momento kaj ni tuj revenas.
You deserve it.
Multe